Imagine with me for a minute. Imagine when you were first, you were trying to break into corporate America, you were applying to get your first job. Imagine you had a community beside your immediate circle, a community of professionals, a community of African immigrants who had walked the path you were on, who were there to guide you through that process. Imagine the first time you landed a job and you were about to venture into corporate America. What would it have meant to you if you had a community of professional African immigrants who were there to guide you through the cultural changes you were about to experience, the shenanigans of the workplace that you might have had to encounter, right? What would it have meant to you to have a community of people who looked like you, sounded like you, had the same experiences as you have, right? Guiding you through that process, helping you navigate the ups and downs and the circles you have to go through to thrive and do well in corporate America. And yes, you might have found success without that community, but how much time would you have saved if you had somebody guiding you through the process? How fast would you have moved if you had an infrastructure in place, to help you navigate the path? My name is Nnamdi Iheanacho, and I want to share a quick story with you. I've been blessed and I've been fortunate to work in companies, my dream companies, let me put it that way, companies I didn't imagine I would get the opportunity to work for. In one of my stops in my journey, I was working for one of the top utility companies here in the South. I'm based out of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. And you know how they send out corporate communications when someone new is hired? I was hired as a database engineer and communication went out. I hadn't resumed, but there was a Nigerian at my place of work who got the announcement he was already working there, and he went proactively to find my cubicle to check for me. Now, I wasn't around the first time he came, but when I resumed the next week, he came back to seek me out and introduce himself. And it ended up being the most incredible work relationship I had, right? He became a senior brother to me. He became a guide, helping me navigate everything that was, everything that I needed to know within that company. It was an easy experience. I knew who to speak to. I knew where to go to find information. It expedited my growth and success within that organization. And that was because I had somebody who looked out for me on their own. Many people don't get that privilege or that opportunity. Imagine if we had a platform where this wasn't a luxury or an unusual occurrence, where we had an infrastructure in place, a system in place, an actual community that catered to our professional needs as a community, as African immigrants, as African diaspora. What would that mean? How many mistakes would we avoid? Right now, the initial career counseling we get, career advice we get, career path we take is too dependent on our immediate circle, who, while their journeys and their stories are valid, might not be your experience. What if we had an infrastructure and system in place? You see, we've thrived a lot of times. A lot of us as African immigrants, we thrive individually. We do well eventually because of the survival mindset that we have. But collectively, do we have a story? Do we have a voice? Imagine if we had a voice. Imagine if we could collectively gather our intellectual prowess. What would that mean? What impact would we be able to make? What would that do for the professional trying to navigate their career path? What would that do for the new immigrant who is trying to break into corporate America but is being fed misinformation? Misinformation with good intentions, right? With people that have good intentions but just misinforming them. What would that do for trying to get a promotion or navigate, and you had a system where mentorship was already built into it, right? Where career advice was already built into it. What would that mean for us as a unit, as a community? And so it's got to me thinking, right? It's easy to find a problem or find a gap, right? While this might not seem like a problem, it is a gap. Most other immigrant communities have infrastructures in place for their economic advancement. But for African immigrants, I haven't found one solid infrastructure in place. And so what are we going to do about it? And it's gotten us to thinking about, myself and my team, what can we do about it? It's not enough to identify a need and identify a gap. What are you going to do about it? And so we've chosen to be part of the solution and not just finders and critics and standing by the side and saying this is how we are and this is what we're not. Okay, and so I am calling on every African immigrant who sees this, right? Whether you are a professional, in career or an entrepreneur, please go ahead and fill the survey form attached to this video somewhere. There's going to be a survey, and it's just a short survey where we are going to be asking you for just trying to identify the needs of the community. We want to start working. We're working on initiatives, but we want to make sure we are serving you. We want to make sure we are building something that works for us. All right. And if you want to be a part of the change, you want to be a part of the solution, then jump on this movement. Complete the survey and fill out the information in there. And it's the start of something that is going to revolutionize how we are perceived as African immigrants, not just here in the US, but in the diaspora as a whole. Go ahead and complete the survey. I'm excited about this journey. I can't wait to unveil the things that are coming to you, to everyone watching this. But please go ahead and complete the survey and be part of the change that we want to see. Let's make this better than we've found this. Let's make the experience better for the next person coming behind us. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the inside.